Cuckoo! My name is Kristen and welcome to Koala Hugs. So things are a bit different today because I want to try something new and I want to share a story with you guys. So on this channel, I talk about language a lot, which is one of the things I'm passionate about. But the other thing I'm really passionate about is traveling. And so unfortunately, due to COVID, I haven't been able to go many places in the past year, but I have gone to several places before. If you've seen my map, you notice all the different places that have been scratched off. And so I thought it'd be fun to have kind of a mini series as we go, where I just tell a silly story about my time in various places. So today we're starting off with Poland. So some quick Poland facts for you. So Poland is located here on the map in Europe, and it's somewhere where I don't know if you'd say it's Central Europe or Eastern Europe or somewhere in the middle. Some fun words to know in Polish would be dzień dobry, tak, and ziemniaki, which means potatoes and is my favorite word so far in Polish. They have a rich culture, very hospitable people, and they are also home to the world's largest wicker basket in Nowy Tomyśl, or at least it was the largest at some point. I actually got to see this because I went to Nowy Tomyśl, but that wasn't the reason why I went to Poland, just to see a wicker basket. I actually went to go work and help out at an English camp. Up until going to Poland, I did not know that much about the country, other than it existed and it was in Europe. Although I did have an argument with a sibling about whether that company was Polish pottery or Polish pottery. And as it turns out, I was right. Now, Poland is very near and dear to my heart for a lot of reasons, but mainly because it was a bunch of firsts for me. It was my first time leaving the continent of North America. It was the first time I traveled without my parents. It was the first time I was in a place where I was surrounded by people whose first language was not English. And it was also my first taste of international travel that really set in me this passion and love for travel. So I have a lot to thank Poland for. So I went to Poland on a missions trip to work at an English camp run by Josiah Venture to, well, help students and kids learn English, and it was a lot of fun. And I remember leading up to the trip, one of our leaders was telling us a bit about what to expect, what the place looked like, and things like that. I remember him mentioning some things about the cabins that we would stay in, the giant mountain of dirt that was there for whatever reason, the basketball and tennis courts, and some fields with some cows, and a fence that he touched and got electrocuted by at some point. So, fun things. So when the day came and it was time to go, needless to say, I was super excited. I'm kind of like that person who just reverts back to their 5-year-old self and everything's new and bright and shiny and exciting. And so I'll just take pictures of anything that looks different, anything that looks cool or interesting or just makes me stop and think and wonder. I remember this time where when we arrived, we stayed in a hotel for the first 2 or 3 nights before we went over to the camp. And watching TV and just listening to everything and being in awe that I was listening to something that was a language I had never heard before, but was just so cool. And then I was starting to try to be like, ooh, can I decipher words? Can I figure out what yes is or what no is or words like that? And I remember looking through the window of the hotel and seeing another sign that said hodl. And I was like, hodl. I wonder what hodl is. That's a cool word. And it wasn't until like 10 minutes later I realized it was hotel. And I was just like, idiot. But anyways, I have fun with things like that. Just exploring the country, cities, the language, just figuring out what in the world things are like from a different perspective, a different view. Like I said, I got to go to Nowy Tomyśl and I also got to go to Poznan. And for that was really cool for me to see all of the colorful buildings and the squares, the plazas, full of people who are just embracing, enjoying life, taking it slow, spending time with each other, outside, talking, playing. It was just a really cool thing to see that I haven't really seen much in the United States. You know, we don't really have that many places where the culture is to just go outside and talk for hours in front of restaurants. And so that was definitely something I really appreciated seeing. So after a few days, we finally traveled over to the camp where we'd be staying for the next week. And none of the students were there yet, but there were a few Polish people who were going to be helping us run the camp. And so in those first few hours, we were running around exploring things. There were the cabins we'd be staying in, that giant dirt hill that, yeah, it is more of a mountain. I don't know why that's there either. And we found a path. We were walking down it. We got a little ways away from the camp. Off the path, we come across this field we walked down into, and there's a wire fence and then maybe a barn way far in the distance. And I remember walking up to the fence and turning to ask my friend, is this the same fence in his story, our leader's story? I don't see any cows. As if the lack of cows would not mean that that is not the same story. And as I was saying this, I remember reaching out and grabbing the fence, and no sooner did I finish my sentence, I felt this jolt go through me, and I just felt so weird. I fell over, and my friend ran up and she's like, "What happened? What's wrong?" And I was like, I just electrocuted myself. So yeah, I touched an electric fence within my first 3 hours at camp. It was not a good idea. And of course, as we were leaving the field to go back towards camp, the cow popped up and I was like, "Oh, there you are. I was looking for you." So not even 20 minutes after I electrocuted myself, we were over back in the courts and a group of people were playing soccer. Now, I am not good at all with soccer or really most coordinated sports, but I wanted to participate and I wanted to play. Now, I had sprained my ankle about a week before leaving for Poland because I was running around the woods at night in the dark in the mountains of Colorado, which anyone could tell you is probably a really bad idea. And it was. It hurt. But I wasn't helping things because the day before I left for Poland, my family and I climbed a 14er in Colorado. And through that, from stepping on all the rocks, I kept stepping on them wrong, and through that I kept rolling and re-rolling my ankles, so it was not too happy, but I was able to walk and so it was fine. So I actually had the ball and I was in the corner all by myself. There was no one there to try to take it from me. And I take a step to kick and pass the ball when I just collapsed because I stepped wrong and I sprained my other ankle. So now I have 2 sprained ankles for whatever reason. And everyone else, from their eyes, it just looks like I'm that clumsy enough to be able to fall and hurt myself without anybody around. And so I guess they're right. And for whatever reason, it seems like the majority of places I travel to, they don't have ice for whatever reason. So I wrapped it and I was okay. It hurt, but I was able to walk, play, kind of run for the rest of the week. It hurt though, but it was all okay. But not even 2 days after that, as if I couldn't do anything else ridiculous to myself, I was wearing shorts while I was teaching English class at the camp, and I sat down in a wooden chair, and in the process, I got a splinter up my butt. And let me tell you, it is the most awkward thing to have to ask your friend for help to get a splinter out of your butt. So, I don't know, apparently I'm just full of things like that just happen. Some of those I should have thought through more. Other of those just, oh well. But yeah, those are some silly stories I have about Poland. Definitely most of those could have been avoided, but think through things, I guess. That might be the moral to the story. But also learn how to laugh them off, because otherwise that would be really embarrassing. As for the food, I really liked it. We had a lot of sausage, we had this thing that was pickle soup, and I also really liked that in the end. It was weird, but I asked for seconds, even after I realized that it was pickly. I mean, how do you make soup out of pickles? And it was the first time I had cold breakfast, which was really interesting. So I know you might be thinking, Kristen, you have cold breakfast all the time, cereal. But that's not exactly what I mean by that. It was more of, we had like sandwiches for breakfast. So we'd have a lot more vegetables, and it was just interesting because I don't usually have vegetables for breakfast. Now, my one gravest mistake in Poland was that I never got around to trying the pierogies. And I know that's one of the foods that Poland's most known for. And it wasn't actually until I went back to Canada to visit my family, my aunt made pierogies and poutine. Good combination. That was the first time I got to try it. But clearly I had to go back. So I did. I got to go back to Poland a second time. And that's when I had pierogies and bikos. And I really love both. Delicious. So needless to say, I love Poland. I'd really love to go back and visit a third time. I have Polish as either 4th or 5th on my list of languages I'd really love to learn after the other few I'm working on. And I would just really love to learn more about the people, the culture, and their heritage. So if you are Polish or if you're learning Polish, then share something about the country or language down in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And so with that, thank you so much for watching this video. I don't know if you guys liked it or not with the style, but I had fun, and I also have, like I said, more countries I'd love to share some random things about. So leave any comments, questions, give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll be seeing you real soon.